Inventors and Scientists. Rachel Carson. Synopsis. Rachel Carson was a famous marine biologist, author, and environmentalist. She is best known for writing Silent Spring. The book started the environmental movement and made people aware that humans have an effect on the environment. Early life. In 1907, Rachel Carson was born in a small Pennsylvania community. She spent a great deal of time exploring the forests and streams. As a young child, Carson felt strongly about nature and writing. When she was 10 years old, she published her first stories in a children's magazine. In 1925, Carson started at Pennsylvania College for Women. She was determined to become a writer. Halfway through, she switched to biology, the study of living things. Carson was given a scholarship to do graduate work in biology at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. It was an enormous accomplishment for a woman in 1929. Joining the U.S. Fisheries Bureau, Carson had a talent for both writing and biology. In 1935, it won her a job with the U.S. Bureau of Fisheries, that part of the government that protects fish and where they live. Meanwhile, she continued to write articles on conservation and nature for newspapers and magazines. From the very beginning, she said it was important to think about the well-being of the fish as well as that of the fishermen. In 1936, Carson was one of the only two women working for the Bureau as a professional. The rest were secretaries. The government department was later named the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. She visited the Chesapeake Bay area of Maryland and Virginia, where she spoke with fishermen and visited factories and conservation centers. During World War II, Carson took part in a program to research undersea sounds. It helped the Navy develop ways to find submarines. Carson published her first book, Under the Sea Wind, in 1941. She wrote about science and the sea in a clear and beautiful way. People read it and became interested in the natural world. Silent Spring. In 1952, she left her job to write. In 1962, her fourth and last book, Silent Spring, was published about the danger caused by harmful chemicals called pesticides. Farmers used pesticides to kill bugs and destroy crops. Carson became interested in pesticides when she was at the Fish and Wildlife Service. She became even more worried when a new one called DDT came out in 1945. Carson read scientific studies that said it harmed creatures that live in the water. The consequences of Silent Spring. In Silent Spring, Carson said that farmers were using too many pesticides. She also said they were contaminating the environment and slowly poisoning living things. Carson knew most people did not know this and would be very surprised. She also knew that many people in the chemical and agricultural businesses would get angry. Carson knew they would attack her and say her book was fake, but this did not stop her. She wanted to let the public know the facts about pesticides, and she hoped it would lead to stronger environmental laws. Carson had no idea how popular and influential her book would become. Carson was right about her critics, though. They spent hundreds and thousands of dollars attacking her and trying to prove she was wrong. Carson's book changed many people's ideas about the environment. People wrote to their lawmakers and asked them to do something about pesticides. Lawmakers asked Carson to speak to them about pesticides. Carson said the government should reduce the use of pesticides and ban the worst ones. The Government Science Advisory Committee agreed with Carson. In 1964, Congress said that companies had to prove a product was safe before they could sell it. In 1972, the government banned DDT. In 1970, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, was created in response to the growing public demand for cleaner water, air, and land. Later, life and death. Carson died of cancer in 1964 when she was just 57 years old. In 1969, the Fish and Wildlife Service named one of its refuge in Maine to remember this amazing woman. It is called the Rachel Carson National Wildlife Refuge.